Be right with you, folks. Just working on a couple things. Thanks for sharing it out on Facebook and YouTube. Appreciate it. All right, the link is pinned. Oh. There's everybody. Hi, how's it going, everyone? Thanks for sharing everything out. I appreciate it. I actually wasn't going to go until Tuesday, but I realized I didn't work that all the way through in my head, so it probably wouldn't have worked out. So I've been thinking about doing a daily live stream, but not necessarily a panel live stream every day, but maybe do like 20 minutes of The World According to Dan and title it something like that, The World According to Dan, and give my views about things going on in the Philippines and other parts of the world as it relates to the Philippines, maybe even give Filipino news. What do you think about that? What do you think of that idea? Oh, by the way, somebody today is going to win. Yep, right here. Coffee and Donut with Dan. I like that name. Coffee and Donut with Dan. Oh, cup of milk. Milk's good for you. Hey, speaking of things, speaking of milk and diapers and things like that, crystals, warm milk, right? Today's topic, we're going to be talking a little bit about Dan's second childhood. I've talked about it before. I've talked about how I've been having these dreams of childhood memories. Actual events that occurred are starting to come back to me in the dreams. In my dreams, I'm not exactly sure. By the way, the last day and a half or so, I have been a tiny bit under the weather. I'm not sure exactly why. It's sort of like a flu kind of thing. Yeah, it's sort of like a flu. Achy, sciatica. I do have a ruptured disc that showed up in one of my medical exams not too long ago. And, they say, hey, there's really, you don't have to do anything about it unless you start experiencing pain, a shooting pain that goes down into the crotch area and then down the leg. Usually it's one side of the leg or another. But anyway, so the last few days I've been a tiny bit, day and a half, I would say, under the weather. And so we're trying to figure out what could be causing it. It sort of seems like a cold, but it's not really a cold. And so I want to welcome everybody here today before we get started talking about that. Mawelma's here. Minnie Omida is here. It's You and Me is here. Crystal's Adventure, thanks for coming. And who else is in the house? I saw people check in earlier. Let's see. And I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you checking in, like Zendi Papa, Menge, Mel, Anna Mae Reyes, and let's see, who did I miss? I may have missed one or two. Okay, but Stryker? is here. So anyway, before we get into the kind of dreams that I've been having, I talked a little bit about this with Leonard one day. But I want to talk about something else that caught my attention too. Minnie and I have been talking about this. We've been talking about, could the air conditioning be causing it? You to feel yucky? Probably. That probably, especially if the filter in the air conditioning hasn't been cleaned out in a while. But we'll take a look at the filter sometime today. I started thinking about that. And then let's see, what else? Food. So in one of the videos, you saw me eating that tuna. Now, in the Philippines, oh, Nicole is here. Hi, Nicole. How are you? Thanks for coming to the show. Irene and Irish is here. Hey, by the way, so I want to talk a little bit about it. So in the video for Cebu IT Park, you're looking in there and you see Minnie and I going to the Filipino food court up there, and I think we were in Ayala Mall, actually. I think we were in Ayala Center Mall. We weren't necessarily, I don't think we were in IT Park. I don't think we were near Central Block Mall. But anyway, so, I just grabbed video clips from wherever. Larice is here. Larice, the Philippines' most eligible bachelorette and socialite, and a mighty fine person otherwise. Scratching his head. Yeah, I lose my thought easily. All right, so let's talk about that fish. So Minnie had the shrimp, I had the tuna fish. But the thing about the tuna fish is it looked twice fried. So that's when they cook up all the food a couple of days ahead of time and they store it somewhere. Who knows where they put it? Because the Philippines is kind of short on refrigeration, So even in those food stands, I noticed that they don't use refrigeration a lot. Marianne's in the house, and that's troubling because it's okay to double fry fish and to double fry chicken. If you look it up on Google, is it safe to double fry? It's perfectly safe, and in fact, a lot of people do it. A lot of cultures double fry chicken and double fry fish. Absolutely delicious. But while you're storing that fish, while you're storing the fish and the chicken, you have to put it in refrigeration less than 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So that means it has to be cool in the refrigerator to make sure that the bacteria does not multiply so quickly. Now it's what it does is refrigeration, it slows down. It actually slows down the bacteria growth, but it doesn't stop it. Even freezing doesn't stop bacteria growth. Freezing is just going to slow it down a lot. Refrigeration is going to slow it down a little, but it's going to keep you in the safe zone. If you're in school and you're taking chemistry, one of those projects that you have to do is where you do bacterial count and you have to chart it, like at 9 a.m. we took the bacterial count, and then we took it again at noontime. Then we took it again when we came back from after lunch. And that's just to show you how quickly the bacteria count in chicken can multiply in a short period of time. However, crystals, always refrigerate your milk unless you're using the milk that does not require refrigeration, the box milk. But I even believe that you have to refrigerate that after you open the box. I'm not sure about that. Double check me on that. We don't want anybody here getting sick. So I don't know what's going on with me. The reason why I'm bringing it up is when you come to the Philippines, you can't tell what it is. It could be some kind of flu that's resulting in me backing on carbohydrate intake. It could be, they call that the keto flu. It could be just a regular cold. I understand there's a cold going around. It could be that I'm not getting enough sleep at night, something like that. But the whole thing is, if you don't want to kill off your family before it's their time, I don't think any of you in the chat want to be responsible for killing off a loved one, then what you do is when you put the food away after you fry it, like chicken or fish, you put it away in the refrigerator and make sure that refrigeration is below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is Celsius. Maybe somebody has to. I know most people in the Philippines, they don't have a refrigerator, but you have to do something like, I don't know what you would do. You put it in a bucket of ice. You put it well, you have to eat the food. You have to eat it. Once it's open, you have to eat it. You have to consume it, right? That's the key. So you can't keep this stuff hanging around. If you can't finish it after opening the milk box, or you've cooked up all this fabulous food, you're having a what do they call it? Is it called boodle fight? What's it called? Where you put everything on a banana leaf and everybody gets in there with their hands. They start eating the food until it's all gone. Yeah. LV Rose is here. Good morning. Anyway, you gotta finish the food is the point if you don't have refrigeration. Or you gotta figure out a way to keep that bacterial count down. So now, Larry, one way you keep in the olden days, this is in your lifetime, Larry. In the
What's in my lifetime wasn't too far out of yours.
In the olden days, Larry, they would preserve food that required refrigeration. They would pack it in salt. Then
no, that's before my time.
Yeah, that's a year or two before your time.
Remember the ice boxes?
Yeah, the Iceman cometh, right? Isn't there a movie or something like that?
Bring a block of ice.
Yeah,
that's my time, but I really don't remember it that much.
Yeah.
Now,
well,
also back in those days, they had the milk was delivered to you.
Yeah.
They were delivered in those could be in those big canisters or the small bottles.
Oh yeah.
One of my uncles, that was one of his jobs when they were still doing that. My mom's younger brother did that. I remember that.
Well, you can, in the Philippines, you could still preserve fish and chicken in salt, but you have to make sure that you thoroughly wash it before you cook it, or else you're going to cause yourself the possibility is you could cause yourself some health issues over time. By the way, Ma'am Minnie, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I think I will, because you shared about your precancerous growth. Well, we found one. I'm going to have to go to the doctor. We found one on me, and it's a small growth here. It's in the spot where you normally would get sunburn, and then this would develop. So as a kid, I would go to the beach, so it's not surprising that I would have an unusual growth show up right here in the shoulder area. But Larry, I just want to share this with you. I want to share this with you. I thought that it was fascinating. So I was thinking it takes a long time for cancers to develop. Sometimes it could take, even after you get a pre-growth, it can take sometimes 20, 25 years for this to develop into where, a situation where it's a problem. And I was just thinking, well, 20, 25 years, how old would I be? I'd be what? I'm 66 now. Listen, I'm probably good to go if it takes 25 years for the cells to travel, from here, the skin, into one of my internal organs. But the
thing is, do you really want to chance that?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. So I went searching around. I mean, this is the World According to Dan segment, really. I went searching around. Folks, I have to give a disclaimer. Anything that I'm about to say or I say in this channel, don't pay any attention to. Just dismiss whatever Dan has to say, and you just do it ASAP, right? But I go on Google, because Google is an infinite wealth of information. And I ran into a study. This is going to sound so bizarre, that, Larry, that this particular, because it's so simple, this particular type of cancer, this particular skin cancer, the ones where it forms a little pimple-like thing,
Yeah.
That has what look like pustules on the surface, but they're not really pustules, right? So anyway, I can't remember the name of it. I don't think it's basal cell; it's something else. But anyway, so I look it up, and then I run into a study. Believe it or not, Larry, you won't believe it. It says, "Believe it or not, don't listen to Dan. Disclaimer given. Don't try this at home. Salicylic acid kills that particular type of cancer." It is the strangest study that I have ever seen, and why or how it would get published when people make so much money off of going in there and cutting you deep with a knife to make sure that, listen, folks, I got to tell you, I got to share another thought with you. When you go in there and you're removing cancer with a scalpel, or what do they call that device that has a little sharp? It's like a wire, a hook. They go in there and
I don't know what they call that.
Yeah, it has a little. It looks like a straw, and they run a wire through it. And then the thing, they take it off that way. Folks, I got to tell you something, right? It's the opportunity exists for those cancer cells to spread throughout your body because you're disturbing them. Number one, I've always wondered about this. So Leonard's not here right now, but Leonard was talking about, Dan, you have to employ all the things that you possibly can think of. I believe he's, I'm saying it, I'm paraphrasing what he said. Low carb diet will extend your life if you have a serious cancer, like a glioblastoma or glioblastoma tumor in your brain, things like that. And I've known people who've done it, and they've been just perfectly fine. So I think that there's no harm at this point in trying to get this skin tag, if you will. We'll just call it that, because nobody knows. You can't self-diagnose cancer. That has to be done in a lab.
Yeah.
But what you could do is you can go ahead and try and see what impact salicylic acid has on it. Applying salicylic acid onto it 3 times or 4 times per day to see if it has any effect on the shrinking of the skin tag whatsoever. Now, it just so happens I've had good luck with salicylic acid, and you're going to dilute this down, so it's just you're just applying it and diluting it, so it has something like, I don't know, very, very little salicylic acid to water. You're going to have to go online and figure all that stuff out yourself. But anyway, I don't give medical advice on this program, but it seems to me that my first inclination is not to go run to the doctor at the first sight of a problem. And so I'm a typical male. Typical male.
Got to be browbeaten into it by a woman.
Exactly. So I have that problem. I didn't mean to just start talking about all the things that were ailing me. But so I got this cold, and I haven't been feeling too good. It's a cold or something, it's like a keto flu. I don't know exactly what it is. By the way, I just want to share, Man, Minnie and I only had one meal yesterday. We had one meal, and I noticed something. I was not, and it did involve carbohydrates. I did have rice. I noticed that I wasn't hungry for the rest of the day. I don't really know if that's directly related to whatever I'm feeling, whatever this flu is or whatever. It definitely impacted my appetite for yesterday anyway. So I had only one meal. I didn't get hungry. I didn't feel a need to snack or anything. I drank water. I had a couple of saltine crackers. By the way, I read a book years ago that said that saltine crackers. I realize this is another thing that you should not be listening or applying or taking any of Dan's advice. But if you take saltine crackers and then a glass of water, it fills you up. And there was a guy that wrote a book years ago about losing weight. And he says, whenever you get hungry, you should bust out the saltine crackers. Now, when I was talking about this, Mamini was like, oh, yeah, that's true. And so I started practicing that a few days ago, and I noticed that it definitely works. There's some merit to it. For me, it works. So let's see. What does that Crystal say? Whether or worry affects your appetite, Sir Dan. Weather. So you know how the weather's been kind of crappy. It has been very humid here in Cebu and very hot. I think that we have a little bit of overcast this morning, but I do believe it's supposed to be 90 Fahrenheit out there today. Netband, what's happening, bro? Netband is in the house. Anyway, I know I mentioned it already. I just want to mention again that somebody's going to win this 100 pesos right here in my hand today. So they could have coffee and donut with Dan. And I wish I could be there with you, in order to enjoy it, As long as you're here. Yeah, as long as you're here during the majority of the chat. Netband is ineligible to win. Thought I'd toss that in there. Anyway,
just rub it in on him, Dan. Just rub it.
So then the other physical health thing, Larry, that I was going to share with you and the chat was sciatica. Now I have had problems with the ruptured disc. I mentioned that earlier. Des is here. Hi, Des. Des has a beautiful family. And so I'm sorry. So the doctor said, Dan, you don't have to do anything about it unless it's causing you a problem. The mere fact that you have it doesn't mean anything. It has to do with, how it impacts the nerves, whether you get a pinched nerve, whether you sit in a chair that causes it to go, to cause you some discomfort, stuff like that. So one of the ways that you check for sciatica, in case folks don't know, is that how you can self-diagnose sciatica is that you change positions when you're in the bed and sleeping. So if you, for example, you take the pressure off of your lower back by putting your knees up towards your chest. And if that takes the pain away, then you pretty much know that it's sciatica. Folks, here's the number one thing. I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place. Hang with me, it'll make sense. The number one way that you could help yourself treat sciatica is by losing weight. And so now I'm a firm believer, because that takes all the pressure off of the back it's a poorly designed. If aliens designed us, it's poorly designed, because you have all these moving parts in there. You have all these cartilage that need to be in certain places. Once that cartilage starts to wear away, then you got problems. Charmaine is here. All right, but here's the thing. So you got to take the pressure off of your body. You take it off your back by losing weight. Now, all you people in the chat, I'm a firm believer in the power of prayer or positive affirmation, as you know. And so please, if you can for me right now, if you can for me, because I know that you, and say 2 prayers for Larry, if you wouldn't mind.
I was laughing because Netband has a good reason why you're not hungry.
Oh.
He says there's no Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, well, You know, we did find the Dunkin' Donuts
Krispy Kreme.
stand
Okay,
around
you
the
did find a Dunkin'
corner.
Donuts?
Around the corner of the JY Mall, there's a Dunkin' Donuts stand. But in order to get to the actual store, you have to go to IT Park. So here's the thing. Why the JY Mall does not open until 10? Why would you have a donut shop stand inside a mall that does not open until 10? Nidban explained that. Welcome to the Philippines.
Probably because they don't consider donuts breakfast food.
It's true. You know what? You hit that. You hit that right on the head.
That's a
I've
snack.
seen people. It's a snack. So I have seen people at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're hitting the Dunkin' Donuts hard. I mean, they're going in there. They're buying 2 or 3 donuts. They're sitting there. They're just chowing down on those Bavarian cream and those chocolate donuts.
And just making you hungry.
And it's just, yeah. I'm just thinking, makes me want to go get a donut, right?
Yeah.
There's no Dunkin' Donuts there, but now we know that there is a stand. Doesn't open until 10 over there in the JY Mall. It's just a little Dunkin' Donuts stand. They deliver the donuts every morning by 10. They're quick to set it up, and all is right in the world. But I don't eat donuts that late in the morning. I eat it for breakfast. Meow, meow, meow. Meow is here. All right. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, I'm feeling just a little bit strange, and then I started having these dreams. Larry knows this. I've talked about it. You guys know this. I've talked about it. I'm having all these dreams of people from my past. No, I don't think that it's a sign that I'm not going to be here on this planet for very much longer. I don't believe that. The dream interpreters don't believe that. They're saying that I'm having these dreams because I'm thinking about something that has to do with my own children. That was one of the dream interpretations that I read. Right? It's not me preparing for death. However, I can tell you how those with elderly grandparents and parents that are hanging around that live with you. Oh wait, what did Crystal say? Don't tempt Sir Dan with he's trying to cut it off his diet. Yeah, that's right. Don't tempt me. Crystal says, don't tempt me, Nitban. Behave yourself. Because I'm trying not to get hungry for Bavarian cream donuts. I'm trying to lose weight.
Trying to see if I
Pray
can
for
find something that
me.
might make you think of a donut, but I don't see it.
I don't know if you notice this or not, but Larry and I haven't been on the scale lately. We
No, I
we
haven't.
thought we were going to do the weight loss challenge, but we're not.
I've been on there since you have.
I am struggling with floating between 205 and 210 pounds. But when I moved over to the Philippines, I was solidly, and I mean that solidly, in the 220-pound range. So I have lost some weight.
I'd
It's
love to be
probably
down that
due
light.
to walking and the weather and stuff like that. But
I'd love to be that light.
yeah, well, I think it could happen if the people in the chat would simply give us positive affirmations and prayer. And just say a few kind
And if I
words.
can
Mark
give up
is
the
here.
carbohydrates.
Yeah.
I love my carbohydrates.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but eliminating carbohydrates, I don't think is really the answer. I
No,
think
but I should cut back on them.
you
I
cut
eat way
back
too
on the
many.
carbs.
I eat way too many. I do. I eat way too many, and that's my
Right.
fault. I can't blame it.
You
Blame
just
anybody.
cut back. You just cut back. So here's what Ma'am Minnie and I have decided to do since you brought it up. We're going to be sharing meals from now on. So we eat a lot of fast food because we don't cook. Why would we cook? We're retired, right? So if there's not anybody hanging around to cook, then somebody. Usually it's a relative when we're at the house. Somebody is cooking some food all the time. We don't have to ask; they just cook it. So now that's homemade, but now we're on the road, right? And so that means that even though there's a kitchen outside, Ma'am Minnie and I have talked about perhaps we need to cook our own food. And I was like, bite your tongue, woman. Don't even utter those words. But now we have Jollibee and McDonald's next door. We're just going to order. We're going to start ordering one meal, and then we're going to share it, cut it in half. Now, Minnie, the reason why she's so skinny, I've watched her. It's because she is a mindful eater, a conscious eater. So here's Minnie. I've watched her. I have studied her over 18 years. I know.
I figured you'd watch her over 18 years. You'd notice a thing or two.
Yeah.
I would hope.
Yeah, but really, it's a recent occurrence. I never really paid attention. But so I noticed that. So, for example, the reason why Filipinos don't get fat is because they eat, and they eat a lot of carbs, is because they're scarfing it down fast. But then they're humping. They're going back to work. They're working in the field. They're working construction. They're working housekeeping.
It's like
They're working. Yeah.
Years ago, the farmers were the same way. They could eat whatever they wanted, but because of and I'm not talking about the modern day farmers. I'm talking about the farmers of our grandpas and before. They worked so hard. They got up and went out, and their biggest meal was actually lunch, not supper.
Mm-hmm.
That was the biggest meal.
Hmm.
And a breakfast was a small thing, and then you go in for lunch and you eat a big meal because you had to go back out and work, and you worked most of it off. Then you came in and had a small supper, and that was it. So it was not only how much they worked and what they ate, but when they ate it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, drinking coffee does help a lot in deadening the appetite. So look at this. So, of course, I drink a lot of instant because it's very convenient. But I have a question for those in the chat. So now, do you pour the water and then take a spoonful and dump it in the coffee, or do you put the spoonful of coffee in first and then add the water? That's what I'd like to know.
When I don't use instant very often, but when I do use instant, because my Uncle George, I'd go over and visit with him and I have coffee. All he drank was instant. I'd put the coffee in, then the hot water, and then stir it up a little bit. I found
that's how I am.
Like it dissolved quicker that way.
But I watch my wife, and she pours the coffee first. She pours the water first.
Well, like I said, I don't think it really matters that much.
Really?
I did it the one way because for me it seemed like when she poured the water in on top of the coffee, it started the instant change over from a solid to a liquid for the coffee.
I'm gonna fire it up. Oh, by the way, I don't know if Anna May is still here, but she has this same exact one, except her cat or neighbor's cat. No, she said her cat didn't do it. Knocked over the pot and she lost the lid. The lid broke, but it still heats up. It's induction, It's induction. And so anyway,
I tell you, you see that a little bit here in the States. My sister has a conduction stove.
Right.
But you don't see that as much here as you probably do in the Philippines.
Right. That's right. We have a lot of induction. Coffee first is what the majority are saying in here. Coffee first and then water. LV Rose says coffee first. Mawelma says coffee first. Okay.
Nitman says coffee first.
Yeah. So, okay, we're cool. We're cool.
Like I said, I just thought for me it just seemed like it dissolved quicker.
Charmaine, what do you do? Do you put coffee first or Anyway, I'm gonna pour a second cup. You could probably hear the pot heating up right now.
Yeah.
Now about these dreams. So Dan's second childhood. Oh wait, before we move so quickly to that, let's talk about. Since I did bring it up, Larry, can you tell when a person is preparing to die, and then what are those signs?
It depends. I think the older person, I think they start talking about looking forward to seeing their loved ones that have passed on.
Right.
Like in my family, my family's religious.
Mm-hmm.
And they start talking about they're ready to go home.
Right.
I think
They
they
say,
also
why is God allowing me to live so long? Blah, blah, blah,
sometimes,
blah.
and sometimes it's just that they'll also maybe cut back on how much they eat. Uh,
Right. That's the one that I want to talk about. Larry, you hit it. You must have taken the same class that I took in Death and Dying. Folks,
well, you got to remember,
one
I
of
got
the,
a mother. I got a mother that's up there, so mine's from
right,
natural
one of the
experience.
signs, Larry, as you pointed out, one of the signs, Charmaine says coffee first. Okay, that's what I did here. Coffee and then water. Man, many it's out of water, so if you're going to get tea or coffee, it's going to need a refill. All right, so now here's what happens. It's a clear sign. It's a clear sign. They stop eating or they eat very, very little. When you try to bug them saying, come over to the table, food's ready. Oh, I'm not hungry. I'm not hungry. And then you'll say, but you got to eat.
Mhm.
And there'll be nothing wrong with them. You'll be looking at them and there's nothing wrong with them. They look healthy. They're alert. They make sense. Everything is fine. But it's their body preparing to leave this planet. And the reason why is because it knows the body itself is an amazing thing. Right? The body itself is an amazing thing. It will tell you when it's your time to go. It's going to tell you. It'll send you all kinds of signals. And one of the signals when it's preparing to go on its merry way is it stops taking in calories.
Now I'm going to interject here.
Yeah.
Uh, LV is posting the question. I'm sure a few others are thinking the question. Oh my God, why the question, Sir Dan? So in other words,
Because
what brought this up?
because I want you to be aware when one of your loved ones is about ready to depart this planet. I want you to be aware. I want you to be aware of the signs, and so that way you could prepare, or you could have a sit down talk with them, saying, working out whether they want to go to the doctor, whether they want to be, revived in the event.
My mother says no resuscitation. She's already
Yeah, no
stated that quite
resuscitation.
clearly.
We have a thing called no resuscitation order here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so this happened. This happened to a friend of mine recently. This is one reason. Another reason that'll be why I'm bringing it up. I hate for people to have to suffer this way by not knowing. It's better if you know, because if you have any unresolved issues, number one is you shouldn't have any regret. I know that I know you will. I know people will,
Oh yeah.
but you try and minimize those numbers of unsettled issues by having conversations about your loved ones leaving this planet before before they actually do. And so I'm just trying to educate you that that's one of the signs. And so one of the signs that you'll get, that you'll know about, and you'll be able to. Nipan is saying it's has to do with
Hunger hormone.
hunger hormone. Yeah. And so you'll know. And so a lot of you that have lost loved ones, you're thinking about it now. Oh yeah, that happened. You're thinking about it and then you're saying, oh yeah, I
Oh yeah.
remember that
My
happened.
younger brother is
Yeah.
the latest one that I lost that was real close. And yeah,
Mhm.
he wasn't as eating as much, and
Right.
he did eat, but we knew he was dying. He had cancer, and so they
Jerry's here. Hi, Jerry.
hey Jerry, and they offered him a treatment. It was oh, what do you call it? Experimental treatment.
Hmm.
And he asked him how much longer would he live if it did any good at all. They said, well,
Right.
maybe 6 months, and he said, no, thank you. I'm going to be miserable for 6 more months. And, if you give me a few years, he'd have did it, but he wasn't
Tox.
going to do it. Yeah, Tox
Hi,
says, yeah, hello,
Tox.
Tox. And so he turned it down. But like I said, now uh, he partook of some stuff that helped him with his appetite a little bit. In the
Hmm.
state of New York now, it's legal, but in Indiana at the time, it was not. But we didn't care. It
Right.
helped him. It helped his pain. So what the hell,
No,
whatever.
no, no. Listen. Anybody and everybody who's within earshot, if you ever hear that Dan took his own life, he did not. The CIA did it. I'm just letting you know. I believe in a natural departing of this planet. Not, I don't want to. I would never make the choice to take my own life. I never would. Nor would I be going to the doctor to say, "Hey, pump me up with a little extra something something so that I can, so I can leave this planet a little bit earlier." No, I would never do it.
I would have to be in
Well,
so much pain to even think
it,
about it.
well, usually the brain protects you from, you reach a certain point in the pain threshold,
Yeah.
and the brain does something, releases endorphins or does something that helps to deaden the pain. All right. Well,
That's true.
anyway, so now the reason why I'm talking about it again, also, LV, is because I know it's an uncomfortable subject. I know, especially in the Philippines, it is. I don't know why that is,
Well,
but
I think it is in a lot of parts of the United States too.
really,
Partly because some people just think that by talking about it, uh, it kind of like karma it may come about. It's like there's a lot of people in the United States, and I will say more men probably than women, who do not want to write a will
right?
because for the same reason.
Oh, they're uncomfortable with
Well,
their own
that plus they think it may,
mortality. Yeah.
yeah, it may hasten the actual event. The karma may
So
help cause it.
so far, I've been having all these dreams about events that occurred when I was a child. And I think the reason why I'm having these is because, not because I think I'm going to be departing the planet, definitely not. It is because I'm trying to resolve issues in my own head that have to do with my own children, or I'm missing somebody and I'm curious what they're doing or something like that. And so when I thought the whole thing through, I had a dream about me as a 2-year-old playing on a sandy beach, Huntington Beach to be exact, with our whole family there, and my dad drinking a beer on the beach. I'll never forget this for as long as I live. Right, one of the park rangers came up to him and asked him, or ordered him to do away with it, basically saying that
Alcohol is not allowed on the beach.
it's not allowed on the beach in Huntington Beach, right? And I'll never forget my dad taking it and then taking the beer. The officer had actually watched him while he went back to the car, and he put the beer away. And then the officer said something to him like, "Next time I see you out here with a can of beer, I'm taking you to jail." And I remember that incident like it was yesterday. And then I remember my dad pouring it into a soda can. So he took a soda can and he dumped out the soda. Yeah, you're smiling. So you know somebody who does this or has done this
Well,
before, right?
I've known people that dump out half a soda and pour in hard liquor.
Oh, okay. Well, they dumped out the
Yeah,
entire soda can, and when you're a little kid, you're looking at it and you're going, "Man, that's kind of weird."
wasteful.
Yeah, why would he waste a perfectly good soda, right? And then I see him
You
pouring the
should have
beer
let
into
you
the
drink the
soda
soda
can.
first, then did it.
Yeah, and so when the officer came back looking again to see if my dad was abiding by his order, my dad was laying there on the beach towel, watching the waves, and he was enjoying his Budweiser, whatever it was, in a soda can. And the officer didn't say a word to him, even though the officer probably knew that my dad had dumped out, uh, the soda and filled it up with beer. But he didn't. He just came by and he looked. They were the mounted police or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
The Rangers, the park ranger, and he probably knew what he had done. I mean, that would be logical, but he didn't dismount to go check to see if there were beer inside the soda can.
Also, though, there's probably enough doubt. He
Well, I
probably had
figure
suspicion.
appearance had something to do with this, right?
Yeah. Plus, also the fact that he told him not to drink beer. Well, drinking a Coke instead of a beer, you want something to drink. Coke's a good substitute if you can't have the beer. Like I said, now, yeah, I've been known to, when I was younger to pour out a little bit of Coke and put some mixed drink in there. Some rum or bourbon or yes, I've done that a time or two. Now I've never poured a beer into a Coke can, but
Right.
uh,
Jerry, South Texas is here, and so I still didn't know at that time, because I'm just a little kid, right, playing with my bucket, and I had
yeah.
my sand shovel and everything. I think my mom was playing with me, and didn't realize that the significance of that at the time. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Mike is here, and
Hey, Mike, hey
Jerry,
Joe,
South
14
Texas.
days and counting.
Tox, thanks for coming to the live. I appreciate it. Tox is so beautiful. I don't know what
And
it
did
is
you
about
see
Tox.
what Ivy said? Elvie said earlier about
Yeah,
it's the jinx part of it.
yeah,
You agreed?
yeah. I saw that.
Okay, I wasn't
So
sure.
anyway, so no, I don't think that having these childhood dreams, or I'm sorry, these dreams of childhood events are because I'm preparing to leave this planet. I think it has more to do with current day issues that are going on, maybe with one of my kids, and so
Either that or the separation. Uh, you
yeah.
might be having some unresolved separation anxiety from your
Well, I
kids.
think I am. I'll be honest with you. I think I am. Every man repeats a story is here. The president and CEO of the Thornton Cruise Line. Yeah,
Uh, do me a favor and don't throw those cans in the ocean. It's
yeah,
getting dirty.
that's right.
As a sailor, I'm sorry, we threw a lot of trash in the ocean when I was in the
I know
Navy.
it's kind of weird. Huh? It's kind of weird how what
Well,
they do
from
with
my understanding
spilled
now is
water and crap like that.
they don't throw it in the ocean like we did,
But now
uh,
the big
but
ships,
they
the new
still
modern
reuse it.
ships,
They
they
have a
have
place
water
where they
treatment.
store it, and when they get in port, they get rid of it.
Well, I thought now they have their own water treat. They have self-contained water treatment plants on
Well, they do
ships.
have that, but I'm talking about the trash.
Ah,
So we used to throw our trash in the ocean.
ah.
So I think nowadays the ships have been designed where they can store the trash till they get into port and offload it and get rid of it that way stuff. Because for years, and I mean years, we're probably going back to the beginning of ocean travel. That's what the sailors did with their trash.
But you
They
know
threw
what?
it.
You know what, Mr. CEO Thornton. You know the thing about that is when you're first starting out in a new business venture, you're not always going to be able to play by the rules. When you're first starting out, you gotta take some shortcuts. So, I personally would prefer you not throw the cans in the ocean. But what the heck? They wash up on Palawan, and then they just collect them up and take them to the recycle. So I mean, there are benefits to it.
But when I was out to sea on one of my Westpacks, we
Yeah.
threw a 55-gallon drum over. I don't know what the drum held. I don't know if it was
Oh hell
aviation
no!
fluid or weapons fuel or what it was.
Was anybody missing after you threw the drum in the
No,
ocean?
no, no. It was thrown over intentionally for target practice.
Oh,
And
there wasn't
I,
there wasn't a body in there, was there,
if
Larry?
there was, we were trying to drown it. So what the hell? But anyway, back I went back and I happened to be on the back of the ship, which is called the fantail. And while they were target shooting, and they had this 50 caliber machine gun, so they were sitting down and shooting at it. And I knew all the guys in weapons because their compartment, which is where you sleep, was right behind my compartment, so we
Mm-hmm.
intermingled a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was back there, and one of the guys that was in charge said, "Hey, Larry, would you like to give it a shot?" So I sat down and fired off. I don't know how many rounds, but I fired off a few rounds at that 50 caliber at that drum. Enjoyed it, but it was still floating after I got done. I'm not saying I didn't hit it, but I didn't hit it enough to sink it. But yeah, stuff like that was common back and we're talking the 70s, and when I was in mid 70s. So, like I said, it was fairly common back then. And you threw the trash over, and you would have what they,
Hey, every man repeats the story. Are you interested in interviewing Crystal? Because evidently you weren't interested in interviewing regular guy because you blew him off. You here he spent all this money coming down to Dumageddon to have an interview, an exclusive interview with you, and then he never shows up. Never shows up, blows him off. So every man repeats a story. Blows off regular guy.
yeah. I'd like to go to Dumageddon, but there's a couple other places before that. If I'm just going to visit, I'd like to go to a Bye Bye, see Man, Minnie, and Dan if they're there. If not, go to Cebu and see them.
Nipan says, every man, you don't interview women, remember?
Every man has a story, not everyone or every woman.
Every man repeats a story. Yeah.
Should be every
Lie to
woman.
me. Lie to me, every man. Lie to me. I like it. Yeah. So anyway, dreams. So they're fragments. They're fragments that
Oh,
are
yeah.
bouncing around in the
And
subconscious mind.
sometimes, like I said, if it's something that actually happened,
Yeah.
for some reason you're thinking about maybe your dad, you know, because my dad was
Hey,
gone.
hey! Now that you brought up the dad thing, have you ever had? I know this is a little weird for the chat. I hope I don't chase people away because they're like, oh, Dan's off the hook. But have you ever had visitation dreams from your mom or your dad or from your father? I mean,
I've had dreams of time frames. In
yeah,
other words, it's a time frame my dad was passed, but yet he's in the dream. Same thing with my older brother. My younger brother, not as much because he hasn't been gone as long. But
right.
I've had dreams where I'm living somewhere where I lived, and my brother's living with me, my older brother, and we've never shared a place. So yeah, I've had some dreams about him, and like I said, I think a lot of it's to do has to do with the fact you're thinking about people that you lost, and you're putting them in a situation that
Well,
you would maybe have liked to have with them.
I have had so many dreams where my father comes to me and he's always, my father passed away, he was in his 60s, but whenever I see him in one of those what I call visitation dreams, right? He's always somewhere around the age of 30 years old or 35 years old. And he's never up close to me. He's always looking at me from way far away and saying something to me, saying something to me. He
Well,
like he'll
with me,
say,
with my dad, the last about 15 years of my dad's life,
mm-hmm,
he was in very, very poor health. He was on total disability.
mm-hmm,
All right, so he was very thin. I mean, so when I usually dream about my dad, he may be thin because he was thin as a kid, but he's in good health. He's not sick like he was the last few years of his life. And when I dream of my older brother, I dream of him when he was younger and was thin. He had thyroid problems.
right.
Uh, he had what they call a hyperactive
Oh, that
thyroid,
could wreak havoc on a person's body. That's for sure.
and well, he could eat a 7-course meal, and I mean, he could eat enough for 5 people.
And
And
never gain a pound.
an hour later,
Yeah.
be hungry as all get out, and he was losing weight.
Wow.
And then they got that
Every
straight.
man repeats the story. Hey, sorry for interrupting you, Larry. I just want to say, every man repeats the story. You invited regular guy down to Dumageddon. He spends all the money getting down there, and then you blew him off. I'm just wondering what that was all about. You blew him off. You told him, oh yeah, you told him, meet me here, meet me there, meet me over here, and then you never showed up. You bailed on him. So he has to go north. He has to go north to San Carlos and spends a couple of days with Calvin of Sunshine Shoulders fame in his guest house. Calvin was a stand-up guy. Every man repeats a story. You're a loser with a big L. A loser.
But
I should ban you. I should ban you. I should ban you from every chat. I should ban you from every woman tells a story. Oh, I forgot. You're already banned.
yeah, like I said, a lot of times it's because you're missing the people and you want to see them in better health. For me, at least, I think that's why.
Okay, so so what's your belief on everlasting life then?
I do believe in heaven and hell.
Or do you believe that when you're dead, you're dead?
No, like I said, I believe in heaven and hell.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, hell may be living here on earth. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say hell doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I mean, because I can't think of a hell that's more. I can't think of anything more hellish than living the life here on earth.
Well, it depends on how you live in your life.
Well, it's the challenges. The challenges.
The hell, if earth is hell on earth, then if you're condemned to hell, then when you die, you just die. You're dead.
Mm-hmm.
But if you believe in heaven, then when you die, you ascend. So that part is debatable, but I do believe there's a heaven. So that's the way I was raised, and I'm not questioning it. I have questioned some of the things that I was raised, but that I've never questioned. I've always believed in heaven and hell, and
I mean, hell certainly does not make any sense to me that you would have an all-loving creator who would, send you to eternal damnation just because you kicked the dog when you were 8 or 9 years old. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, it's more
I don't think children will ever go to hell.
Yeah.
And I'm talking young children. I don't think that. But I'm thinking when you get older, your choices matter. But I find it hard to believe that you make a mistake just before you die, as long as you didn't kill somebody, steal something, break one of the 10 Commandments, in other words, right before you die. I find it hard to think that you're going to be condemned to hell for that. That's where I think the old Catholic purgatory might come into play. I'm not Catholic, but I'm thinking that makes sense to me.
I mean, Mike is making a point here that you have to have a dark side. Yeah, well, you know what? You're probably right about that. I mean, you can't have a good, I mean, that's the way the world works, right? You can't have good without evil. People would have to know the definition of good.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? And so...
Oh, yeah. That's what I said. But there may be, like I said, the Catholics, I don't know if they still do or not. I know at one time there was hell, there was purgatory, and there was heaven. And if you weren't real totally bad, you went to purgatory to serve out your time for being what you did wrong. Like maybe you told a few lies or stuff like that, but you didn't kill anybody. You didn't,
Every man says, I became religion last month, Dan, so I am covered and insured. Listen, yeah, I hope you have unlimited with no deductions.
Well, I do
I
believe
hope,
that. I do
I hope
believe
it's a
that when
multi-million-dollar policy with no deductions, my friend.
I do believe that when you confess to your sins, you got to try not to repeat them. Doesn't mean
Pita,
you won't.
Pita of Barbaria is in the house.
Hey, Peter.
Peter, thank you for coming. Yes, hell is a construct for controlling the masses. I sort of believe that. I sort of believe that um, there's no such thing as, a God, a creator of the universe, if you will, that would punish you to the point where they would send you to eternal damnation. Eternity can be a long time, right, Larry?
Oh yeah. Well, there's some
Without
people
giving
that
you
believe that.
at least you would have to have a way to get out of jail, right? Like a get out of jail free card, like in the game Monopoly.
Yeah, you have to have a way to redeem yourself. That's why I say
Yeah, there's got
purgatory.
to be redemption, right? I mean, that's the all-knowing, all-loving God that I know. Morning, Peter. I hope all is going well for you. Oh, it's evening for you. No, it's morning. You're in Asia, right? So, anyway, yeah. Uh, I don't know, but I just don't. Do I believe in eternal life? Yes, I do. I do, as a matter of fact.
Well, Hey Joe
Um,
says eternity is my last 14 days before getting on the plane.
what's that?
I said, Hey Joe says eternity is my last 14 days before getting on the plane.
Yeah, that's fun. That's heck of
Yeah, but
fun. I'm excited for
let's
you.
be honest, when you're really waiting and looking forward to something, you remember as a kid,
Purgatory. Do you think that purgatory exists?
I think it may. That may be, uh,
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's say
that
that. I
makes sense
mean,
to me.
yeah,
Because,
because
like I
I mean,
said, maybe you're not good enough to go to heaven because you've done some things, but maybe you shouldn't be condemned to hell for it. So you go to purgatory, learn to repent and overcome, your weaknesses, or you go to hell. I mean, it's up to you when you're in
but
purgatory, but you know why you're there.
have you ever watched those YouTube videos where they're presenting a story? I died and there is no hell. There's just beautiful eternal life. And if there were a hell, I certainly would be the one to go to it. I
I've
certainly
not
would be the
seen those.
one to
I've
be.
seen it where they said they died and they
Yeah,
saw a light, but they came back and
yeah.
stuff like that. But
Talk
talking
about
about
how beautiful it
purgatory,
was. Nobody reviewed their life.
I
You
can't.
know,
Like I said, I can't
Peter's
remember
saying
the
you
name of
make
the
your
movie, but
own.
they made a.
You make your own purgatory. Well, see, so I don't know if I should talk about this. I had a friend. I have an acquaintance who took their life, and somebody very close to them had a visitation dream from that person. And they asked them where they were, and they said, "Oh, I'm in purgatory. I'm in purgatory for taking my own life." That's interesting, right? I mean, that's interesting.
Uh, Catholics, I think, would believe that would condemn you to hell, though. And that's a major sin in the Catholic religion, from my
Oh,
understanding.
there are ways to handle things. A donation here, a donation there.
Don't forget the Hail Marys, and but yeah, like I said, every religion has certain aspects that I admire about it, and there's certain aspects I have to question about. My sister happens to be one of these people that thinks, certain religions are just, they're wrong. She thinks Catholic religions aren't Christians. And I got other sisters have no problem with it. And it's just like, I believe people from every religion, or at least Christian religion, some will argue that the Muslims were so different it'll never happen. But everybody has a chance to make it if they live a good life.
Why? But like Peter was saying, that's a construct so that you'll be a good boy or be a good girl. And I'm inherently evil. So I suppose I'm going to hell then.
Well,
I'm inherently evil. I'm just
it
a human being.
depends on, like I
I'm
said, it
just a
depends
human
on how
being.
far back they want to go and hold it against me. I mean, there's some things in my past that would, you know, sure
Yeah.
get me banned for a little while. I'd have to spend some time in purgatory at least. But like I said, I've never killed anybody. I mean, hey, I haven't done that.
Oh
Uh,
my goodness.
but I would say if you weigh it all together, I'm basically on the good side. But there have been my bad days. You know, like I said, when I was in my teens and 20s, I was not. I wasn't. I wouldn't call myself evil, but I wasn't exactly a good boy either. There was a few rules I bent, a few things I did that would
Peter.
be frowned upon by the religious establishment. And
See, Peter's making an interesting point, right? A generous stipend will pave your way to church heaven. Well, yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to. I was saying that if you, let's say,
hey,
take your
Jerry,
own
you have a good
life,
night, man. Take care.
who's leaving? Who's leaving us?
Jerry.
Jerry. For example, if you take your own life, and you want to still be buried in a Catholic cemetery, I thought a reasonable donation or stipend, as Peter of Barbaria, would take care of it. Doesn't it? Doesn't it? Don't you just get a few priests to pray extra hard for your soul? Mel is in the house. Melanie, thanks for being here. Thank you, thank you. Yes, Pita of Barbaria is in the house. Hello, Pita. Making some good points, I think.
And we got pretty me here too.
Pretty me, how you be? Yeah. So I know that I've mentioned before that I thought the dreams were connected to a life review.
And Jaylene came in as well.
Jaylene, how are you? Thanks for coming into the chat. Who else is here? Who else is here? Let me see. I can't even read my own chat. Princess Beatrice. And we got LJ, is that how you say it? Is that somebody's ninja site? Is that somebody's ninja channel? Sailor Moon is here.
LJ
Sailor Moon.
Rose.
Thank you, Sailor Moon, for coming to the chat.
Sailor Moon's got one. I love that name because of being a
Pretty
sailor, I
neat.
guess.
I added all of you to the moderator realm. What's WoW Info? Who's WoW Info? WoW Info is now a standard moderator. So yeah,
Sheila just came in.
who came in?
Girly.
Girly Santa.
Yes.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Melanie. Anyway, where were we? Where were we in this chat? Oh yeah, so no, I don't think I'm having a review of my entire life in preparation for the end times. So, I want to go back, leaving this topic aside. I do not believe. I just want to make it clear that China is going to knock the United States dollar. Listen, China might be they might be able to put this collaborative together with Russia and the other countries, But I just want to make it perfectly clear. No, I do not believe, not for 1 second, that China is gonna knock off the US dollar as being the reserve currency. That's one of the most ridiculous things that I have ever heard. And so I think that since I've talked about in the past, I just have to lay it out there that there is not enough money in the world to unseat the US dollar from being the global reserve currency. You can't do it. The United States is just too dang rich. That's all there is to it. So take that for what it is. Take that for what it is. You know, you have your own opinion. This is Dan's own opinion. By the way, somebody today is going to get this 100 pesos.
They won't give it to me, people.
Yeah, by the way, who really needs this 100 pesos today? Wow Info says, I sort of agree. What part do you agree with? Let's see. Good idea, Larice. Another coffee sounds good. Duncan, donuts will get the 100. Exactly. That was pretty quick. Yeah, so that they're huge. Yeah, they're not. The other countries aren't large enough to unseat that. They don't have enough money in the world. They don't. And China's got all kind of issues going on. So does the United States, though. But we just if we need more money, we just print it. For example, the global office building real estate crash that's going to occur, but not here in the Philippines. And the reason why is because, we're able here in the Philippines, supply is barely able to keep up with demand right now in terms of office buildings. And so, but the United States and China, they monetize everything, and they develop these things called real estate investment trusts. So they got all kinds of goofy people like me to invest in these real estate trusts. Oh, come on in, Dan. Give us a few $1,000s of your money, and we're going to go ahead.
In no time.
Yeah, you'll have ownership. You'll own part of the basement in this building, this 100-story office building in downtown San Francisco. So people like me, we go, oh, that sounds good, because that's a government office building, and what are the chances that they'll ever default on their lease? And all of a sudden, they decide to send all their employees home, and they never returned. And so now you have a vacant 100-story building in downtown San Francisco that ain't paying no rent. And this is happening all over the world, except it is not happening in the Philippines, because the Philippines, one, they didn't overbuild. That was number one. They're able to get high occupancy rates in those
offices. Some people go home during the world problem.
It didn't work the same way. Plus, they
not the same way. And they try to get them back to work as quick as they could. Here in the States, they're still saying, "Oh, stay home, stay home,
stay home." Right? Don't come back. We want to make sure that we destroy. So really, what's going to destroy banks are not. It's not consumers going there and taking their deposits out. That's going to be a part of it. But really, the main problem is that the banks wrote all these bad loans for these huge high-rise buildings that have nobody in them, and that's the biggest problem that's going on. And so they're preparing for the worst. Right now, they can hide a lot of their bad debt. Banks, I mean, they just bury it in their portfolio. The event really doesn't occur until they decide that they want to sell the building, or until they start reporting loss after loss after loss. Right now, they're able to cover it up a little bit. And so the big banks, so a lot of people are talking about the smaller banks having the biggest problem, but really it's the biggest bank, like Bank of America, Citibank, the people that finance the building of office buildings all over the world, the people that dumped all their money in there saying, we're good to go. This is a great investment. Turns out,
I'm hoping Bank of America doesn't go under because that's one of my banks.
yeah, but your consumers aren't going to be impacted by this because their money is protected by law.
Yeah, I got so little in there, mine's protected by the government.
It won't
It'd
matter.
still be a hassle because that's where I have my Social Security check deposits. I'd have to change if it went under and they actually closed. I'd have to find another bank account because I want to keep my money separate.
Right, they'll just sell the bad debt, package it up like they did in 07 and 08. I think the problem is a little bit larger than 07 and 08. I think that I read somewhere that they have something like $1.1 trillion of bad loans out there. All the banks combined. That is a hell of a bunch of money. It's hard to overcome 1.1 trillion in debt. I think back in 07 and 08, I don't think we approached anywhere near $1.1 trillion in bad loan. I think we were talking somewhere in the hundreds of billions, but we weren't in the $1 trillion mark. We weren't in that area.
And I'll tell you what, though, even billions is anymore. We don't think it's that much, but back then that was a lot of money. Nobody.
I bet. I mean, billions. Let's face it. They're getting used to throwing $1 trillion around like it's nothing.
I know. What's the difference? Gazillion?
They're desensitizing us. They're desensitizing us by throwing out $1 trillion for this, $1 trillion for that, blah 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 blah.
They are. It's like there used to be no billionaires. Now look how many there are.
Yeah.
It used to be if you were a millionaire, you were well off. Now, if you're a millionaire, you're just upper. You're lower right. Rich or you're upper middle class. I don't know what they call that class anymore, but it's not the rich class. If all you got is $1 million, used to be you had $1 million, you were set. But not anymore.
I don't know. The poor guy can always make more money working at the 7-Eleven or something. It's the rich guy that's going to have a tough time getting their money back, I would say.
As far as, getting their money back. Now, the bankers, they'll be
unless the government bails them out, which the government isn't thrilled about this idea this time around, I don't think.
Well, they did it. It depends on the bank. I think there's certain banks they would bail out because they just think, well, that's just too big.
Too big to fail, right? Too big to fail is the line they fed us last time. So will they use the same trick again?
I think they will if the bank's big enough.
Too big to fail. What does that mean? And they'll try and get us to believe.
That means you're not a regional bank.
Yeah, they'll try and get us to believe that they're saving us. They're not saving us.
Bank in almost every state. Regional banks, like some banks around here that they're all over this area. They're in Pennsylvania and some other areas, but that's it. Those banks they'll probably let fail.
Peter was very subtle by saying, wonderful thing about communism and fascism, you only have two classes. Well, Peter, it's easier to keep track of everybody that way.
The two classes are party affiliate and working class. That's
you only have 20 or 30 of the super wealthy, and you know where they live. The poor you don't care about so much. The poor you're not going to spend a whole lot of time thinking about.
The wealthy's at the government offices running your life, That's where the wealthy's at.
Yeah, so Mike is saying they'll bail them out. So here's my plan about that. I don't have a plan. Except I I did buy a whole bunch of silver because that's what I could afford to buy. Looking at silver, the doubling every 8 years in value.
Hey, Pacquiao, how you doing? Pacquiao.
Mertz,
Yeah.
thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Yeah, silver doubles in value about once every 8 years. So, and if you buy silver in bite-sized bits, then you can actually use that to trade for a loaf of bread if you need to. That's the only thing that I've done. That no big deal. Nothing. Let's see. What did every man repeats the story? Said nobody bailed out my roller rink in Utah, Dan. Well, that whole roller rink thing wasn't such a great idea from the very beginning there, Mark.
Actually,
That whole roller thing.
love roller skating.
Yeah, I'm not sure what kind of a business. If I were going to be in a retail business, I'm not sure what type of a retail business I would choose. But a roller rink is not my first idea that comes to mind. It's not the first thing that comes to mind in getting
I
rich
think it
quick.
would depend upon the location. I mean, and by that I mean the population that you're located in, the
Mm-hmm.
populace, if you will. If you're in a smaller town attitude populace with a fair sized city, but they're small town attitude, family oriented, if you could gear a roller rink or a bowling alley towards those people, yeah, and you could in a really large city you can still make it, uh, but like the roller rink I went to as a kid, after I think it was 10 o'clock, it was teenagers only. It was teen only, and it closed at midnight. But you had a lot of kids that showed up just for the teen only on Friday nights. If I worked Friday night and got off in time, I went roller skating afterwards. Now I remember the first time I went roller skating, I was probably around 13, and I got done roller skating that night, and I went over to the guys that cleaned the place up, and I said, "Don't bother sweeping the floor." I said, "I don't think there's a spot I didn't follow and clean for you." I fell so many times, but I went back, and every time I went back, I got better. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was a group that I ran with. We liked to roller. They liked to roller skate. I started going with them, and I actually enjoyed it. And I did it until I went into the Navy. And when I was in the Navy, if there was a roller rink around the base, we would go skating. Me and some of the guys that I served with. So it all depends upon I think, the background of the people that you're around. Uh, the smaller town, Midwestern.
Yeah, I never would think about starting a business nor a cruise line, especially
Oh
in
no,
this
no,
economic environment.
no, you got to have money that you're willing to lose. Well, talking about money to lose,
Mm-hmm.
there's an amusement park outside of Buffalo. I'm trying to think of the name of it, but anyway, the guy started it. He built it outside of Buffalo, outside of almost nowhere, and he built it as a money loss. He thought, well, I'll build this. It'll be Darien Lakes is what it's called. Six Flags ended up buying it later on, but he built that to he can give some summer jobs, keep it open, but he'll lose money. It's a tax write-off. That's why he built it for a tax write-off, and
Mm-hmm.
he made money at it.
Yeah, but I mean, in this economic environment, a tax write-off, looking for something that loses money, isn't going to be your number one priority.
Well, it depends on the individual. If you got a lot of money,
Well,
you think, hey,
you don't have a
I
whole
can
lot
build
of
this.
individuals that are in a position right.
No,
They're
no,
already
no.
losing.
We don't know
They're,
that many people.
yeah, they're
I've met
losing
a
their
few,
shirt right now, and they're not doing anything.
but
If the dollar collapses, which is worth more, gold or alcohol? Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have
well,
to give that some thought. I wouldn't be able to come up with that off the top of my head, but I'm just thinking
well,
that.
now, if you're talking equal number of weight, in other words, an ounce of gold compared to an ounce of alcohol, the ounce of gold. But if you're talking about what you can buy at the time for the same amount of money, I'd say alcohol
Hmm. Every
because
man is saying, I lose other people's money, Dan. Well, that's smart. You don't have your own money at risk. That's what Larry was saying. Larry's saying you just blow other people's money. But I'm a more creative guy, I think, than Mark, in that I would have had 4 or 5. I would have had nude skating night. I would have had bikini skating day. I would have had skateboard day. I would have had rollerblade night. I would have done all these different things to keep it going.
well,
I would have come up with all kind of topless
like
roller skating night.
how some of that skateboarding uh, where they start skating in different places and stuff.
Yeah.
How they have those skateboard parks. A lot of that originated because people were during the drought in California. A lot of swimming pools were empty. The kids would go in there and skate.
Mike's
And people
killing
thought,
me.
hey, we build a skate park for these kids and something similar to the pool. It'll give them a place
Mike
to
is
go and
killing me
keep them out of
here.
trouble.
That would have been perfect. Nude limbo skating night. Mike at Hey Joe is killing me. That is so funny. That would have brought in the money.
Well, it depends now on
We would have been able to sell tickets for spectators on that night.
oh yeah, there'd be people coming in. Well, I gotta stay dressed. I'll pay to watch.
Yeah, but I'm okay with people. I would be the last person to discourage somebody from following their childhood dreams. Hey, that's pretty interesting. We're bringing the conversation full circle because I was talking about childhood dreams, and Mark, he was basically a dismal failure his entire life, and he wants to relive he wants to be a success in the business that he was a dismal failure at. I see nothing wrong with that.
There's only one thing I want to be a success in, and that's called retirement.
That's where I'm at. I mean, so my first thought
You're
is
talking
not to
about maybe
take.
selling pizza. That's too much work. Now,
Yeah, it
doing
is.
what we're doing
It
right now,
really is. It
doing
really
what
is
we're
too
doing
much
right
work.
now,
I mean, quite
doing you,
frankly, I
I'm
mean,
just saying that you do YouTube. If you enjoy it, it's not that much work because you can take a day off whenever you want. You can travel, do some videos while you're traveling, so you still get to travel. Do your live stream like I like to do.
you wouldn't
It-
take, for
you're
example, you
busy.
wouldn't take
You're doing something, but I
American,
wouldn't call it work.
yeah, you wouldn't take American retirement money and invest it in a business in the Philippines when you're already getting 55 to 1. I don't know if you've seen the roller coaster ride. The dollar against the peso is going on. Is what's going
Well,
on
no,
now?
like I
But
said,
right now,
my
I don't know.
retirement money from the U.S. When I go to the Philippines is going to be invested in where I live and doing YouTube. YouTube, I don't care if I make money.
You're already
I would
making
like to
money
break.
at 55 to 1. That's my point.
But what I'm saying is that if I break even, I'll call that a win because it gives me something to do, something I like, and I'm not spending any of my own money. I'm breaking even. It's like I talked to somebody else. I can't remember who I brought this up with. Maybe it was last night on the channel. But
Holy
gambling.
smokes! It's 55.49 today, for crying out loud. 55.49. It's gone up a whole peso. It's gone up
Well, when I
overnight
first
practically.
started following YouTube, the Philippines, it was under 50 pesos. What was it, around 48? Maybe a little lower, but somewhere around 48. And then I got up to 50, and it pretty much stayed at 50 for a very long time. And now it's gone up. But yeah, like I said, for me, my investment for other people say, "Well, I'm going to invest in a business." My investment in a business would be my YouTube channel for my own entertainment. And if I make money, I make money. If I don't, as long as I don't lose my shirt, I'm all right because I'm having fun. And
Well,
keeping busy. And that's the main point of why I started my channel is to give me something to do when I do retire.
right.
To get myself up out of my chair and out my door, or up out of my chair and maybe sitting down talking to people. Because at the time I started it, I didn't think about live streaming, but to do a little bit of both. And like I said, that was to keep me from becoming a couch potato.
Peter. Peter says if there's no money, I might swap you a pound of gold for a pound of potatoes to keep the wind from blowing my door shut. Yeah, but you know what they did in Nixon administration? You know, they nationalized the gold, for crying out loud. I'll never forget that. I was on the planet when they did that. I'll never forget that. $30 or $35 an ounce. That's what we're going to give you for your gold. We actually thought they were going to come knocking on our door saying, "Hey, we haven't seen you down there at the Gold Redemption Center."
Uh,
When we
if I
mean
had gold,
gold,
I
we
would be
mean
down there at
all the
35
gold.
dollars. Hang on to it.
Of course, I believe you were allowed to keep your wedding rings.
I'm sure you were.
I
There have been a lot of women trying to beat those guys trying to collect those wedding rings.
don't think
As a
gold is
matter of
going to
fact, their
save
own
you.
wives would be beating them for trying to collect them.
I don't think gold's going to save you. That's the point, Mike.
No, actually, I agree with you. What's going to save you and make you gold is what Peter said: a pound of potatoes, you know, a
Food,
dozen eggs, vegetables.
loaf
You
of
got
bread,
cow. Food is what's going to save you.
pineapple pizza.
No, that's going to choke me.
Jack, how's
Hey,
it
I'll
going,
have
Jack?
spam pizza. We can have spam pizza. All right, I like spam, and I love pineapple, but not on my pizza, please. And pineapple juice is my favorite juice. So I really do like pineapple. Pineapple upside down cake and all that. But
Talks. Thanks for hanging around. We appreciate it. Jack. Nice to see you, Jack.
Jack, hey, how you doing, man?
Hey, so bring the thing full. So we're talking about dreams, dreams. So,
Peter, you're nuts. That's all I got to say, Peter. Pineapple pizza with
Peter,
anchovies.
pineapple with anchovies. Oh my good. You got to be kidding me.
You picked the two worst things for pizza.
Oh, I haven't had breakfast yet. Peter of Barbaria. I haven't had breakfast yet. Yeah, I don't want you ruining my appetite.
I'm glad I've already ate supper.
What is it with what do they even have? I wonder pineapple pizza in Hawaii. That would be curious.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a
Well, in
pineapple
Hawaii, they
state,
came up
right?
with pineapple pizza.
I'm not even sure they even grow pineapple here in the Philippines as much
Yeah,
as they
they
used
grow
to back in the
pineapples in the
day.
Philippines.
Huh?
They grow pineapples in the Philippines. Hey,
Well,
oops, he's not up yet.
Jack wants to come up, but he might. There he is,
Yes,
Jack.
sir.
Am I
How you
audible?
doing,
If the
Jack?
dollar, if the dollar collapses, would there be a run on Red Horse? That's the question.
All right. Knit Band just came up with the worst pizza ever.
I haven't had a
Yummy
Red
Yeah,
Horse
pizza,
we ought to
Peter.
ban Knit Band.
Knit Band, balut pizza.
Oh no, no, no.
So I said the worst pizza ever.
Nip man, you're crazy. Oh my
Got a
God.
man, that man.
Hey, by the way, why is it that everybody, when they move to the Philippines as a vlogger, they have to do a balut video, you know?
Oh no. I
You
guarantee
know,
you,
I
if
did
I do a
one.
blue video after I move to the Philippines, it will be somebody else eating that because there's not enough Red Horse, not enough San Miguel, or enough alcohol in the whole country of the Philippines to get me to eat a balut.
You're
I'm
supposed to
sorry,
eat
man.
balut in the dark, Larry.
No,
Jack, you're supposed to eat balut
no,
in the dark.
Yep, I tried
no,
it, but no. I
no.
think
I had a girlfriend try to get
the
me to eat
soup,
balut once.
then like,
Can't
I asked
happen, people.
somebody else. I
Yeah,
think it's like
how would you react when you got to the crunchy part?
I almost
I've
throw
ate
up.
pig's
I didn't
blood
even get
soup.
close
I've
to
had
it.
pig's blood soup, but you ain't getting
Oh,
me to
that's
eat balut.
didn't go on.
I didn't know it was pig's blood soup until afterwards, and it actually didn't taste that bad.
Nope.
Nipan said he's tried it and he can't forget it. It stuck with you, huh, Nipan? You
Jerry,
can't get it out of your mind. You can't get the taste out of your mouth. Oh my gosh.
I almost threw up when I tried it. Like, nope, someone else is gonna finish this.
like I said, no, I can't. No, I don't
Mike,
believe there's enough
if you had
alcohol
a
in the country to get me to eat a
Mike, if
balut.
you put that on a T-shirt, you would be banned from the country.
It's like when I went to Jamaica for a honeymoon back when I was married.
Is that similar,
In
Dan? Do
in
you
the
know
taxi,
Spanish?
in the taxi,
Dan, you know Spanish?
Bob Marley was "No Woman, No Cry." I'm like, I like this song. Who is it? The dude just locked the brakes up on the car on the taxi. Look back at like, it's Bob Marley, man. I'm like,
I'm just wondering if that word he's using is the same as puta. If you know what Spanish is. But
All right, so where are we at? Oh, Dan's second childhood. So I think I'm living it right now. That's the point. I think I'm living my second childhood right
no.
now.
You're living my dream. I'm living the nightmare.
There's no bigger kid in the Philippines than the one you're seeing right here in front of you. I'm having so much fun.
Well,
Yeah.
the only reason you're the biggest kid in the Philippines, I'm not there.
In fact, Minnie and I, we just go back and forth about, hey, what are we going to do today? Where are we going to go? So, well, you know, well, we could go
My
to like,
biggest thing is now I don't know about you, Dan. I don't know how you've adjusted. I know me. I would sleep in the morning and I'd be up late at night, just
hard
like
to
I am here
do.
in the States. And when I'm off, I sleep in late, and you know I stay up late because when I got to work the next day, get up at 5, I'm still up to 11, 12 o'clock at night. And if I'm off, I'm up later. And
But
so I would be the
here's the
kind of guy that
problem.
don't want to see the sunrise. I want to see the sunset. You know,
I'm up at 5:30 in the morning. That's about sunrise.
that's about the time I get up, and it's way too damn early
Hmm.
when I'm working.
And
I went to sleep at 4:30
I've never
this
been able
morning.
to sleep later than that. I've never been able to sleep later than that. And
Even in the Navy,
also,
I didn't want to get up.
well, I'm thinking that it's not when you transition over here to the Philippines. It's probably not such a great idea anyway to change your pattern of behavior that much in the beginning. You know, in other words, you want to transition slowly, but you want to have a certain level of continuity from your working life as you're transitioning into your retirement life.
And I got to say something to Hey Joe. That's what I thought it meant, Joe. That's the word I used in Spanish means the same thing. And there's
So
something very similar to it. Let's put it that way. Uh,
So far, I'm up at 5:30 and every morning. So's Man Mini, because
yeah, but
that's when first light hits us.
yeah. Well, see, what I'm saying is though, when I'm off, I don't get up till 9, 10 o'clock usually.
Good for you. Good for you. But here the crows get you up. You know, the crows start, the
Wait a minute, you're
chickens
in
start getting
Cebu.
you. The
You're in
roosters
Cebu.
start
How the
crowing.
crows getting you?
The
How are the
roosters start crowing is what I meant.
yeah? But how's the roosters getting you up in Cebu? You're on what floor?
Oh,
My neighbor chickens.
it's the ambulance. It's the ambulance drivers
Oh
that
yeah,
wake
the
us up
city
here.
would be the ambulance and the street noise. And
Yeah, you get the street noise.
I'm not saying I'd sleep in as late if I was in Cebu because, like you said, the street noise.
Mm-hmm.
And I might get up early because, like I said, it's going to be a flip. So when I get over there, 5 o'clock in the morning might seem like 5 o'clock at night to me because you haven't adjusted yet, you know. And so that happens. It's not a big whoop. Uh, but when you're retired, it doesn't matter. If you're ready to go to bed at 8, and that's what you decide you want to do every night, you go to bed at 8. Who cares? If you want to get up at 3 in the morning and get around, get things ready, and now 3 in the morning would be way too early because I don't know how many restaurants would be open at 5. But if you want to get up at
Really,
5,
it sounds
ready to get out,
nice. It sounds really nice, but it hasn't been that way for me.
so I said, it doesn't have to be. It's got to be the way that works best for you.
Yeah,
When
yeah. You know,
you're
I mean, it's
retired,
just
you don't care what somebody else. You care what many thinks, but let's be honest about it. You no longer care what the boss thinks, because you're the boss, and that's what I'm looking forward to. Once I
we're
get to work,
both we're
once I
both
get
on
to
the
the
same
job, I don't mind
schedule.
working. Like I said,
We're
once I
both
get
on
to
the
the
same
job,
schedule. Nothing's changed.
yeah,
Nothing
but
has
see,
changed since we
there's people
left the
that way
States.
that will always be that way. You got a habit of getting up a certain time every day for years. But see, you got to remember, I've worked all 3 shifts. Sometimes I change shifts. I had one job every 2 weeks. I changed shifts.
Mm-hmm.
And I did 5. So how are you going to get used to getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning? Where 2 weeks you're getting up at 5 and going into 7. The next 2 weeks you don't go until 3 and you get off at 11. Then after that you don't go until 11 and you get off at 7 in the morning for 2 weeks. Then you're off for so many days, and then you start all over again. I've also did that where I changed shifts every 7 days. I'd work 7 days in a row, off 2, work 7 days in a row, off 2, work 7 days in a row, and off 120. I start off 7 to 3, 3 to 11, 11 to 7, then I have 120 hours off, back in at 7. Now, you want to know the truth? That was my best paying job. It drove me batty because of the hours, but this was back in the 70s, and starting pay was $5 an hour almost. This is when minimum wage was about 275.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at $5 an hour, that was very good money. My average take home check was about $160 a week. Now I know people today think, well, that's not that much money, but back in the late 70s, that was a lot of money because they did, especially where I lived, that was really good money. My cousin George worked there for I don't know how many years, doing basically the same job I was doing, then switched, and he was making almost by the time the 90s rolled around, he was making around $20 an hour doing the same job. So, like I said, the pay kept going up, but in 78, when I was working that job, 78, 79, that's what the pay was. It was around 510 an hour, and it was really good money. And but I hated the job.
You
Hey,
know, I'm looking at my list and I'm checking it.
man, WTF, WTF
I'm
Mike's here.
Hey, I'm looking at my list and checking it twice. I'm trying. It's very, very difficult to pick a winner these days for the 100 peso donut with Dan, coffee donut with Dan challenge. Because I have
How much is
so
a
many
dozen of donuts?
people that I want to give it to.
How much does that cost?
I'm looking to see if I have people's Gcash account
Oh,
numbers.
wow, we got somebody in here. Their channel name is Blowhole. I don't know if that's a ninja channel or that's their channel, but normal channel. But
Where are we at, guys?
what do you mean, time wise?
Yeah, I'm boring myself now, listening to myself talk.
But
You guys take it over.
Jack just said his Gcash number.
Yep.
Hey,
Sure
Jack,
do.
I can't send my Gcash number. I don't have one. I'd have to send PayPal. And he doesn't send it to
Oh,
you.
I'm easy to find, so I haven't had much problem sending money out. I haven't had much problem these days. I have problems selecting the winner. That's what I have a problem with.
Yeah.
Who should win, you guys? Not in the chat, in the comments section. Who should win? Who
Well,
should
let's
win
see,
the 100
we gave it
pesos?
to who did we give it to last time? We gave it to 3 people. Was Crystal?
What the F Mike is in the house. Oh, you already said that What the F Mike was here, hanging
Yeah.
around. See, I think
What's
that
the F, Mike? You're right, not you.
I think Charmaine is today's winner.
All right, sounds good, Charmaine. You know what we need
Charmaine.
to do is start writing them down so we can spread it out a little bit.
I know. Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
But,
Your donuts today, Charmaine. Charmaine, private message me your Gcash account so I can send that out. I'm gonna send out 2 today. There's someone else who caught my attention in here.
Well, then give it to the next person.
I'll tell you what, I'll do 3 today because I'm feeling generous.
All right.
All right. Okay, so Charmaine, and let's see, Zendi.
Zindy's a good one.
Charmaine, Zendi, and Irene.
Irene and Irish.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So you guys, I'm not sure if I have your Gmail account. So why don't you guys work on sending that to me through Messenger, and then I will get that. I'll get that Gcash out to you so you can go enjoy whatever you'd like. You don't have to go get a donut and a cup of coffee on Dan, but you can enjoy
ice cream and a Coke.
Yeah, you can get exactly. You get a red horse if you want.
Told you, save a yellow painted label. Come on, guys.
Yeah, get a painted label. Hey, why does by the way, I was in the club. Minnie and I were in the club the other night, Saturday night, and I haven't had San Miguel Light in a long time. But so we had the San Miguel Light, and it has more of a kick than regular painted label, I thought. Why is that?
I had San Miguel Light, so I couldn't tell you.
It had a little bit more of a kick.
When I was over there, nobody even thought about light beer.
So, or I'm just used to.
I always liked the painted label. Now,
What do you
I
think?
told you this before. A lot
Jack.
of guys would buy a case of the beer painted label.
What do you think, Jack?
They got done drinking it. They'd take the case to a glass cutter, and he'd take 12 of them and cut the tops off and smooth out the round top, and that would be like your shot glass, or not your mixed drink glasses, but you'd have the painted labels so you can see it. And the other 12, he cut the top off, smooth out the glass part where it was cut off, and then he glue or whatever he did, welded out or whatever, the top part to the bottom, and that would be like a wine goblet. And a lot of guys did that with the cases of San Miguel when they got done drinking them. And so that would be a souvenir they'd take home. I thought that was pretty good. Now, I never did it, but I know guys that did. And, what can one say?
I was thinking about
Oh,
doing that, but
there's
well,
what the F Mike said. I always found it strange that they named alcohol after a saint. That is a little bit strange.
Well, wait a minute. Now, the monks used to make beer.
That's
And
true, right?
They still make, what is it? Champagne and wine?
Yeah, that's probably where. I mean, I don't know what the history is, but I bet we took a look at it, we're going to find that we're going to find a reason for that. But it is kind of funny to think about. All right, so Charmaine and Zendi and Irene, today's winners. And if you guys have their Gmail accounts, why don't you forward them to me after getting permission from them? I'll make sure I write them down. But I'm just looking through my stuff, and I can't find anything. I don't know what's going on with me. It's always easier if you just send it private message me through Messenger. I dropped all my papers all on the floor right now. Anyway, Larry, let's call it a stream.
All right. All right, everyone. Remember, be nice to each other. We're all here trying to have fun. So remember, take care of yourselves, stay safe and healthy, and as always, try to have fun. Take care.
All right, we'll see everybody later. Bye. Take care, Jack. Thanks for coming. Larry, pleasure as always. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much for coming. We'll see you on the next one.
All right, Jack, you take care. We'll see you later, Dan. I'm going to drop out.
Bye, Jack.
Bye-bye.